In my first ever YouTube video, I discussed this weird little device, which was made by Thinkgeek.com, I don't think they still sell it, called the Bliptronic 5000, which is a really dumb name that I love. Now, like I said, this was from my first ever YouTube video, and I wanted to revisit it to see what we could do with it now, as I like to think that I have grown since then, both as a musician and as a content creator. For starters, we should probably talk about what it is. Now, if you've seen the synthstrum deluge that I've shown in other videos, you can kind of think of this as like a super duper early prototype Precambrian version of that. You can tap on a button on its 8x8 grid to activate a note at that time in the sequence and at that pitch. Though you're limited to a single measure divided up into eighth notes, you only have a few different BPM selections for your tempo based on the options that are on the knob on the unit, and the notes are all going to be organized into a C major scale. You've got a knob for changing the preset sounds, you've got a knob for choosing whether or not the pattern will loop when it gets to the end, and then you've got a volume knob, which I feel is pretty self-explanatory. Now, you can get around that one measure limitation that I mentioned if you have more than one Bliptronic 5000, but because they're kind of tricky to get a hold of at a reasonable price, which we'll talk about that a little bit more later, I don't really see that as being a viable option for most people. Now, like a lot of other synths and gear, I find that adding effects really helps bring it to life and expose some new character. Now, in this example, I'm going to use effect pedals. You don't need those if you have something like this, or really any synthesizer. You can add effects in your DAW, they're probably just baked right into the program, but in this case, effect pedals just happen to be more visually interesting, so that's what I'm going to use. And you can hear how the sound changes as I bring in first some delay, and then some reverb. Okay, so I mentioned the price earlier. Now, I was able to find a couple of these for around $100, but that's pushing it for what I think you might want to spend on this. You know, for $100, to give you a point of comparison, you could get a Teenage Engineering Pocket Operator, pretty much any one of them, and you'd have more functionality than the Bliptronic 5000, along with a few dollars left over for, I don't know, hamburgers, veggie burgers. I just wanted to be clear that I'm talking about the Bliptronic because I think it's a fun and interesting device, not because I think it's one everyone should buy. Now, there's a saying that limitations breed creativity, and if that is true, I think the Bliptronic 5000 might be the single most creative instrument that I own. Being limited to eighth notes with just a single measure and only the notes of a C major scale might not really sound fun, and sometimes it isn't, but at the same time, I honestly find the Bliptronic really engrossing. Like, it's a fun little musical sketchpad, but then also just with the lights and the nice chunky knobs that thunk really loudly when you turn them, it's satisfying to use, and it's easy for me to just sit down and kind of get lost in the experience. Whether that's a testament to the fun of using it or just evidence that I am way too easily entertained, I'm gonna leave that up to you. But anyway, I want to thank you for watching this video. To all the returning subscribers, thanks for coming back. We actually recently just got past 800, which is like, wow, thank you so much. That's super exciting. And if you're new around here and you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting subscribe, both to help support the channel and that way you'll be notified next time I upload. With that, I think it's time for us to part ways for now. We'll close by jamming a little bit with the Bliptronic, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.